In a given project, how do you start the design process of like sustainable or green buildings? Do you start greening the internal space, or do you always have this intuition in you that when you design, it's automatically like green?
My design process usually, first, I need to be on site. I need to stand on the site and feel the environment, the scent, using the five senses. Okay. Sometimes I, I, I bring my drone and then fly around to see the totality of the environment. Okay. But most of the time also, I study the local context in terms of their tradition, the biology, the natural environment, because I need to be inspired. I need to look for an element that I can integrate in my design. Not hindi yung meron na akong style ko, ito na yung gagawin ko sa design kasi because I want to be remembered by the people that this is my architecture design. I do not want my architecture to look like that. I want my architecture that when they see my building, they see the story of the place. I don't care if they don't recognize the designer, but I want my design to recognize the story, the tradition, the spirit of the place. I can do that by uh, by first understanding the context of the site. Okay, and sometimes since I'm also a biomimicry practitioner, I study local organisms of the site, and then I understand what is the adaptation of that organism I can use in my design.
Mm,
And of course, it depends kung ano yung site. For example, meron kami project ngayon in Mindoro, is a biodiversity conservation center. Literally, nasa bundok siya. So I look for an organism that survived the harsh environment of Mindoro. Okay? Of course, marami kaming na research, meron kaming partners sa mga biologists, they give me these references, and then I use that to create an architecture that can adapt to its environment. Okay? Hindi ko lang maano ngayon, masabi ngayon kung ano-ano yun kasi medyo marami. But definitely, we have a partnership with different biologists and then we integrate those strategies into an architectural design. Of course, when we integrate this uh, biological strategies in architecture, hindi naman to literally, for example, meron kami nakitang butterfly na maganda, literally gagayahin namin yung form ng butterfly dun sa structure. No, no, it doesn't, hindi ganun. It's more of the functionality. We try to copy, literally, yes, copy the functionality of that biology in our design. So usually, yun yung design process na ginagawa ko sa ano ko sa mga projects. Ano? Of course, there are along the way there are paiba yun, depending on context. But definitely, that's the general step that I do. Trying to understand the story of the place.
If I may answer,
sure.
I totally agree with what Architect Louis said about starting from getting to know the site, the environment, when you start your design process. Ito yung unang-unang kailangan mong i-consider because after all, the actually starts dun sa selection ng site. You have to get to know your environment before you can do anything else. Kailangan alam mo yung context in which your building would exist. So kailangan, it's very, I totally agree with everything that he said about yun nga. Also, hindi lang yung mga halaman na nandyan, pati mga insekto, kilalanin natin. And I think for students, dun sila medyo nagkakaroon ng mga pagkalito as far as yung what Architect Louis is studying right now, which is biomimicry. Akala nila ay, ang aking concept ay butterfly, therefore, ang aking building mukhang butterfly. It's beyond that. Diba? Parang more than that, you study the attributes and how did these exist? Paano sila thrive in an environment like that? So the first thing you need to do, get to know your site.
I would like to discuss the scenario that we did in one of our projects in Bantayan, Cebu. what we did is I studied the species right there, and then what are the migratory birds? What are the migratory species? And then from there, we created or also the culture, the history of the place as well, and the subsurface of that place, no? Because that place is a karst, no? Karst means mabato sila, no? Mabato. For all we know, kaya pala akala natin tamad yung mga taong magtanim doon, wala silang makain, yun pala, hindi talaga tutubo yung mga tanim kasi bato nga yung surface, ano? Because lime yung kanilang area, no? So
Architect Louis,
with that, understanding these things, you don't just
naririnig mo ba
bring
sila?
you don't just
Nakikita mo
bring
ba sila?
commercial plans, tapos sabihin mo doon sa iyong
Kasi ang nakikita ko,
architecture na
umiikot-ikot lang na black
designing
screen
with
sa kanilang
nature.
tatlo. Ikaw lang ang nakikita ko.
The thing here is that it's not because meron kang plan, you are already designing with nature. No? Hindi po in-accommodate mo yung magandang ibon, you are already designing with nature. You also have to accommodate the ugliest species, no? Yung pinakapangit, the worms, um, uh, uh, all the planktons, no, dun sa dagat, no. Lahat 'yan you have to accommodate. You have to be aware that when you paint these structures, yung chemical niyan pumupunta sa dagat, and therefore naapektuhan also yung soil. So did you know that lichens is a part nung moss, no? Yung moss are part na nagki-create ng kulay nung bato na ginagamit natin doon sa ating cladding, no? So these are vital elements doon sa pag-create nitong mga works na ginagamit natin. But if you put mga chemicals on the surface of architecture, pag na-wash off yan ng ulan, saan pumupunta yan? Doon sa soil. Pag napunta siya doon sa soil, pinapatay niya yung mga microorganisms sa soil. No? So therefore, you have to be very careful on creating or creating your specifications. No? So moving forward, I create my architecture by understanding what are my staple materials. No? I revolve with renewable materials like rammed earth, earth blocks, timber, things like that, no? And then from there, doon ako magki-create ng aking shape. And of course, what's on my mind is not the shape itself, but yung regenerativity along the circularity of the business model. Uh, while designing it, dapat alam mo na meron siyang obsolescence or meron siyang time, yung maximum life cycle niya, ano ngayon ang gagawin mo dun sa structure pag luma na siya? Gigibain, panambak na lang siya, di ba? So hindi po pwedeng ganon. We need to understand that to be able to create value for the property again, you have to redo it. You have to redo it in a way na magki-create ka ng value doon sa iyong property. So what I'm trying to offer is both on the comprehensive aspect ng development, no? Hindi lamang siya on the architecture, it's a systems thinking. And that's the reason why very important na naiintindihan mo yung hangin, kung paano mo i-diffuse yung extreme wind. Trees can do that. Trees can diffuse these extreme wind by properly placing them, and then that reduces the impact dun sa structure mo, no? So things like this, it will really go a long way in aligning yourself with the rhythms and the patterns of nature. Thank you, Jonathan.